over here on this masterpiece, we are replacing that metal flange, well, this flange that was here. We're going to replace that and the proper size hose that connects them. I do want to reach all the way back behind here and see if I can check the hose that's going from the heater core down to the turbo and make sure that these connections are not leaking back inside there. That's kind of a pain in the neck. I'm not going to film it because there's just no room and I can't hold my, you won't see anything. It's back in there. You can kind of see it poking between down there. So that's something we have to deal with. There are a few things that have to come out of the way. I'm going to have to remove this panel here and gently move it out of the way and try not to break anything in order to get to the thermostat coupling and hose and replace the thermostat. They're down underneath there. So that's got to come out of the way. And then I will deal with the spark plugs and the coils. So we're going to see how much of I can get done tonight. I'm not going to film all of it because it's dark. You won't see a whole lot, but I'm going to dive through it and then we'll look at the results. Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We are at day, I don't know, 1 million on working on my son's Jetta, which has had many ups and downs through this whole adventure of trying to get it back on the road after the timing belt broke a few months ago. If you are just joining us, I got some tales to tell, and I hope you're having a great day. I hope it's going better than our Christmas Eve. Today is Christmas Eve. I don't know when I'm going to post this, but I'm trying to get this back on the road as a Christmas miracle for my son. Let's see if I succeed. So if you are new with us, or if you're not, just a quick recap. Several months ago, the timing belt on this wonderful 1.8 turbo Jetta let go. And of course, that meant all 20 valves in there kissed the pistons and there was no more compression and it stopped working, which is what they do. So I was going to let it sit for a while and just take my time, find a rebuilt head and pop it on there and get it back up and running. But some friends at a neighbor church offered to have it fixed for us as a blessing to our family, which it really has been a blessing that I didn't have to spend, I mean, it would have been like 30 hours or something, you know, in my time to actually deal with this, because I don't have a cherry picker, I don't have an engine hoist, I don't have any of that stuff. So I would have been working on my back in the driveway trying to remove the old motor and put in the new one and deal with all of that. So thank you. That element was very helpful. So they had it taken to their friend who's a mechanic, and he put in a used motor. And in the process broke just about everything around the motor that it is possible to break, and didn't reinstall things properly. As I've been doing a run through in several previous videos, many hose clamps not even tightened, things not put back in proper order. The intake pipe wasn't even on the turbo outlet pipe wasn't connected to the intercooler. Frankly, I don't know how this thing ran even to drive it home from the shop to our house, but when we did get it to our house, it immediately dumped coolant all over the driveway, and that began the saga of trying to fix everything that the dude broke while he was trying to fix the car. So quick recap, what have we done? We have replaced several coolant flanges and O-rings and hose clamps. We've gone through every coolant connection and checked them. I have now pressure tested the system. I don't see any leaks coming out. In the process of blowing up and spewing coolant everywhere, some of the coolant ruined some of the electronics, or it's possible that, you know, it just happened to be a coincidence that the fan controller motor died and the radiator fans wouldn't kick on. So I had to replace the fan controller, which is up underneath, up inside there. And that is a joy to get to, let me tell you. And of course, the secondary air hoses, there were several of them that he broke in the process of swapping things around. Now, to be fair, they're 20 years old and they're brittle and they break pretty easily, but you can remove these things without breaking them. So I've had to replace, move my light out of the way, basically all the SA secondary air hoses and several of these. Lots of stuff has been replaced and fixed. We moved to the metal coolant flanges wherever we could. Cleaned up all underneath the battery box here because it was just nasty. We are just steps away from putting in the battery and breathing life back into her. I still need to put her back on the ground. She's still up on jack stands, but we're almost there. Knock on carbon fiber. We might have her running in a few minutes. So I'm gonna put the battery in and start her up, and we'll look for leaks and see how she does. Oh yeah, we also changed the spark plugs, the original ones that apparently were reused rather than putting in new spark plugs when they put in the motor. Some of these are pretty awful. This one, the collar, see how the collar on this one is stuck on the top threads? That's exactly how this spark plug was in the cylinder. It was only threaded in like one turn in the cylinder. That's it. So when I went to go take it out and I turned it once and it popped. Yeah, that was. And then in another cylinder, the collar had come off of the, yeah, look sir, droids. Sorry, Star Wars nerd moment. Anyway, the collar had popped off and this was sitting in the cylinder. The ignition plug wasn't even threaded in. It was just sitting in the cylinder. I don't know how this motor was working. So I fished this out. So all new spark plugs. The coils tested good, at least in terms of the resistance numbers they're supposed to have. They should be fine, but we will see here in a few moments when we go plug it all back in and see if it works. So let's see.
5 minutes later.
Here we have it, the moment of truth. Everything is back together. Theoretically, she should be ready to fire up. So let's see if we have success or not. And the magic words, please work. Oh, that does not sound great. Obviously, we have a pretty serious miss. One of the cylinders is not working, so I expect a code will pop up. Oh, she's smoothing out. She's smoothed out. Okay. Maybe there was, what's going on here? We got some smoke. Is that from coolant that had sprayed everywhere? I hope so. So let's see. If it's just something that's gonna burn off and she'll be all right. She's running okay. Definitely need to add more coolant in here. So we'll keep an eye on that level as she warms up and keep an eye on that, which is a little disheartening. Could be coolant burning off because it did spray everywhere, and coolant, as you know, doesn't like really dry up. It just stays where it's at until heat makes it go away. So, I don't know, fingers crossed. I'll get back to you in a couple minutes after we run some more fluid through here, make sure that she warms up to temperature. We're gonna check for leaks. I don't see any active leaks, so that's good. Nothing's dripping down, but we'll let her come up to temperature and then report back.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes. The car's warmed up to temperature and the radiator fans are still not coming on. We have double checked the typical things. This fuse is good. I've checked the connection here. None of these connections are horrible. I don't really like this one, but that's not directly related to the radiator fans. We know there's a new fan controller. They're not coming on with the AC, and both of them are not coming on, which means there's probably no power going to the radiator fans. So the next step is to test the thermo switch, which is down in the bottom corner of the radiator. I'm not going to dive there right this moment, but if you're looking at the car, it's in the lower right corner underneath. So I'm going to have to pull off a trim piece to access it underneath there. Pull off all of this stuff here, and I should be able to get to it. Now, it is in the lower corner of the radiator, which means that as soon as I open up, coolant's going to dump out like crazy. So I'm not going to do that since the car's warm, and I don't want to burn myself. And we need to go get a switch just to have it on hand. So they're like $8 or something stupid. I'll go get another switch. We will test continuity at the circuits, test resistance, and make sure that it's in decent shape. But that's where we're at right now. Still possible for a Christmas miracle, but I'm running low on time because I have to go lead worship services tonight. So will this car work today? Well, she's running. And she seems to have smoothed out. The smoke that was happening back there dissipated. So I do think that that was just coolant that had sprayed everywhere, burning off. And she's running smoother now, so I'm going to clear any misfire codes that it probably has and start her up and let her run again after we change that thermocouple switch and see if the radiator fans do spark to life the way they should, and we'll go from there.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back.